Weber gas grill, a Traeger wood pellet grill, or a Big Green Egg charcoal grill. Only at your neighborhood Ace. Around the block. What you need in stock. With people who know their grills.
This is Brad from Gibson Ace Hardware in Clinton, Illinois. Stop in to see us, The Helpful Place, at 114 North Madison Street, Clinton.
See participating store for details.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the Zoom today, Andrea Kocher, Director of Services at Willow Tree Missions in Piatt County. Andrea, always good to see you. How are you this fine morning?
I'm good. Also, always good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Thanks for making time for us as always. All right, Andrea, February, it's our annual Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month discussion. And, you know, we always, we talk about, dating violence, obviously domestic violence and those sorts of things. The conversation always seems to steer itself towards the adults, but impacts the teens too. What do we know about this subject?
For sure. So, teen dating violence is something that Willow Tree doesn't see a lot of. We do see it. We do get calls on it, but nowhere near to the degree that we get them for adults. So I sometimes, I'm like grateful that February comes around because I'm able to really pull attention to it, because it so often truly starts in adolescence when people's first relationships are DV or are more likely to include some DV. So I appreciate the opportunity to be able to kind of start a little bit more conversation about violence this time of year.
Mm-hmm. So what are the overall, you mentioned you don't see it a lot in Piatt County, but what are the overall national trends around this?
So the reality is 1 in 3 U.S. teens will have or are experiencing some sort of partner violence or partner domestic violence-esque qualities. That can include physical, sexual, and emotional abuse, but really the statistics are just as high or even tend to be a little bit higher in adolescent relationships over adult relationships.
Interesting. Wouldn't have guessed that.
I know, it's pretty fascinating. About 40% of women in college report that they've already been in an abusive relationship.
Wow.
It's fascinating.
That is. Why do you think that is?
I think there's a lot of reasons. Kind of like any other topic that we talk about, there's not like a concrete reason. A lot of it, I think, is immaturity and expectations. Not intentional, just truly not enough experience and development to know what is a healthy relationship and an unhealthy relationship. Or I know lust plays a really big part in wanting to keep a relationship, especially with that lesser maturity. So I don't know if we can pinpoint an exact reason, but I think there's kind of a multitude of situations going on in the adolescent brain that really lead to the more likelihood of being in these relationships.
Sure. You know, I know we talk, Andrea, about you kind of learned behavior in this realm. Is some of this learned behavior, you think?
Absolutely. I think just like we said, we talk about all the time. If you grew up in a home where love hurt or where there was domestic violence in the home, the likelihood is that your especially first relationship is also going to hurt, or you're going to be more likely to experience some of those VD qualities, because in your especially young mind, that's what a relationship is. This is what it is supposed to be, and there can absolutely be a change in that behavior from the person who's experiencing the violence as they start to see that. So it's not like saying every relationship for the rest of your life is going to be DV because you're in one as an adolescent, but the reality is the first ones oftentimes are because that's what you have seen at home. And on the flip side of that, young people who are abusive, that's how they have likely learned to express themselves as well. Mm-hmm. And at the same point, if they haven't had interventions and prevention efforts to stop that behavior, the likelihood is that's how they're going to treat their partners as well.
Sure. Is there a theme for this year's Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month?
There is. I should say national. So we really follow something called loveisrespect.org. It's a super awesome website and just general national campaign that offers services year round, but really highlights this time of year. And this year they've chosen Real Love Respects. Kind of their whole platform for this year is that in this realm of especially young adults or teens, that we are constantly getting mixed messages. We're getting expectations versus reality. There's some blurred lines. And so they're really trying to hone in on all relationships that you're a part of, both dating, friendships, everything should have a baseline level of respect for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're really targeting this overall wellness of health and security and safety and respect for others.
How can you speak more to that mixed messages piece and maybe where that comes from or what that looks like?
Yeah. So a lot of times, especially in adolescent relationships, things can be misunderstood. So things that we look at as being really big red flags can come across to someone who's young as like they're being really loved. So where we know warning signs are isolating youth from their parents, convincing them not to share things that are going on with their family and friends. Major red flag, huge isolating factor. In these younger relationships, it's more viewed as he or she cares so much for me, I don't need to tell anybody else because he'll take care of me. And so it's comparable to adult relationships, but it's on such a grander level because it's truly isolating from the developmental pieces of life as well. It also can be, again, just major lust. Whenever these relationships are so heavily ground in new feelings and new sensations and new things, oftentimes that also includes extreme jealousy, which again, in a young person can be so flattering and like, oh my gosh, they are so into me, when in reality, it's a lot of times really crosses the line to be unsafe and excessive.
And I wonder, Andrea, again, Andrea Kocher is the Director of Services at Willow Tree Missions in Piatt County, our guest on the Zoom today. I wonder how much has technology changed
Oh my
this
gosh.
topic and even the dynamic of abusive relationships among teens?
Yeah, so technology and DV, or technology and teen dating violence especially, is really all I know. I wasn't in the realm of DV before technology played a piece, but knowing what I know now in this world, it's huge. It's everywhere. The biggest thing is tracking. People, like your loved ones, are tracking you. It's just the reality. Young people right now don't even think about this. They just know. Like, oh yeah, they can see me, they know where we are. We like teach our kids now to assume that there's a camera on, to assume that someone's watching, recording, nothing that you do is private. On the flip side of that, kids are a lot more likely to share their location with people because it's so comfortable. So they kind of expect to give access and have access. And so it's so easy for these stalking personas to start taking place. And maybe it started out well intended, but it quickly can go so different and really become more stalking behavior because people become obsessed with where their partner is because they see it all the time. It's constantly in their face. So then to take that away starts to take away control from that relationship also. And just like any other relationship, teen dating violence is also about control.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, Andrea, how early do you start to see teen dating violence show up in with the youth? So is there like a, not a minimum age, but I mean,
Sure.
what do you know about that side of it, I guess?
I actually don't have statistics on that. I'm not sure. I know, for instance, Piatt County, well, every county in the state of Illinois, does a youth survey every year that asks questions to 10th and 12th graders. 10th and 12th graders in every community, including in Piatt County, report that they have already experienced teen dating violence. So at 10th grade, they are likely to be 14, 15, 16 years old. They're reporting that they have already experienced it. So it's been before that. We don't have a lot of context on what they're reporting had taken place. There are definitely statistics that it's been physical already. I would assume the likelihood is that it's a lot of verbal with some physical, but I also could be really off base there. I have received calls for individuals who are not in high school yet. And it's been really geared toward technology, really feel like they're being stalked or harassed online.
Yeah.
Sometimes by someone they've actually met, but more so by people they've never met. and they've gotten in over their head and want help.
Oh, wow. Wow. Talk a little bit about back to that technology piece of
Yep.
it there. Is it a lot of like you talked about the verbal, I know it's not verbal
Yeah,
line, but the
sure.
communicative
Mhm.
abuse that way? Is it exploitation, sharing, sharing documents, images, if you
Yep.
will? How about some of those things?
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's just a reality that we live in. Once something has made its way to the internet, it doesn't go away. Sharing anything of yourself or others with someone that you trust on Monday can absolutely turn around and stab you in the back on Tuesday.
Mhm.
So, knowing that ahead of time is really important, gaining some of that knowledge of it is just best not to share. However, we absolutely see that people are sharing it. It's absolutely exploitation. And a lot of times it's used as a threat or a way to control or manipulate. Well, I have these pictures. So ultimately, do what I say or do as I want you to, or else they'll go to XYZ.
Mhm.
I'll distribute those to ruin your life. Especially, that would destroy anyone. That would destroy me. That would destroy anyone, but especially an underdeveloped brain that can't grasp the concept of going to their parents or going to the police and asking for help.
Mhm.
And really, they'll do anything to try and maintain that relationship or do as they're instructed so that their life isn't ruined because their world is so small. It feels like that will truly ruin them.
Yeah, yeah. Man, that's a tough place to be. Well, I'll tell you what, on that note, Andrea, I know we've got more to dive into with this. Let's go
Sure.
ahead and take a break. In the meantime, how do folks get a hold of you at Willow Tree Missions? Learn more about the services you all offer there. How about that?
Yeah, they can find us online at willowtreemissions.org or call or text anytime to 217-762-2350.
Very good, Andrea. Short break here. We'll come back with some more. Again, Andrea Kocher, Director of Services with Willow Tree Missions, our guest on the Zoom. More to come with Andrea on the morning show.
WHOW.
Better. Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn, beans, and Chicago wheat all lower at this hour. March corn down 425.5. May corn down 2.25, 433.5. December new crop 454 3/4, down 2 pennies. March beans down 1061 3/4. May beans down 2.5, 1074 3/4. November new crop 1077 3/4, down 1.5. March Chicago wheat 523 down 5 3/4. March KC wheat 529 down 5 3/4. March bean meal down 290, 289 even. March bean oil 54.86, up 37 cents. Livestock trade March feeders up 527, 373.20. February live cattle up $1.35, 241.67. February lean hogs unchanged 88.55. Energy market March crude oil 63.43, up 22 cents. This is the RFD Radio Network.
Hey, it's Shane from Highway 51 Exchange, your mower and equipment service pros just south of Clinton. Click our banner ad on DeWittDailyNews.com or give us a call to schedule your free pickup and delivery today. Highway 51 Exchange.
This winter, your to-do list should include hot cocoa, and that's about it. At Hickory Point Garden Homes, snow removal and winter upkeep are already handled so you can enjoy an easier winter. Schedule a tour today by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Andrea Kocher, Director of Services with Willow Tree Missions, our guest on the Zoom today as we continue our conversation around teen dating violence. And, Andrea, you mentioned the Illinois Youth Survey and the data that it shows about teens and dating violence. It also shows that teens are, increasingly, I think I shouldn't say increasingly, for a while there, they were, at the peak of, experiencing depression, anxiety, and all those things. And, I wonder if there's a connection between that and maybe some of those individuals experiencing teen dating violence.
Absolutely. There's a ton of research that goes into kind of the aftermath. Once people are able to report what's happened to them, There's a lot of data has been collected from many different sources, nationally, locally, kind of all over, about what people who are experiencing teen dating violence and then what the aftermath looks like. So we know for sure youth who are victims of teen dating violence are absolutely seeing increased amounts of depression and anxiety symptoms, rightfully so. Like it perfectly tracks with adult DV as well, but also just in general adolescence, whenever you're going through something that truly makes you unsteady or uneasy and feel unsafe, you are naturally going to experience increases in depression and anxiety symptoms because it's a coping skill. It's especially a coping skill whenever, or a coping mechanism, not a skill. It's not necessarily what we want for people, but it's just the reality of, but people are going to experience increases in those if they're experiencing hardship in life too. We also typically will see, or research shows that there'll be an increase in other unhealthy behaviors. That can include like using tobacco, drugs, alcohol, other thing, or just generally taking more risks than an individual who hasn't experienced something like teen dating violence. And again, that it goes back to it's the way that people tend to cope whenever they've experienced some sort of trauma or hardship. So we definitely shouldn't be surprised by those reactions from adolescents as well.
Well, and I go back to what you said in the first segment, the undeveloped brain, I mean,
Absolutely.
that's like you feel trapped after something like that,
Absolutely.
I'm sure,
And again, we work with adult victims every day who feel trapped. I can't now as an adult begin to even fathom what that feeling has to feel like. And when you feel like your world is so small just because of your age and your brain development, but a high school student whose whole world is kind of wrapped up in this small high school environment, especially here in rural central Illinois, to truly feel you cannot get away from the person who's doing this to you. They're in your class, they're in your hallway. You can't get away from them, and the likelihood that you're going to be able to leave your school is pretty low. And so just to constantly be experiencing that has to fill a person with major anxiety issues and just I can't imagine what that has to feel like for
Yeah,
someone.
yeah. You mentioned some of the behaviors exhibited, and not always a sign of love, how about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you mean from abusers?
Yes, correct. Excuse
Yeah,
me, sorry.
absolutely. A lot of times abusive individuals, especially young people, will do a really great job of convincing their partner that the abuser's all they need. But I'm enough. I can be all things to you. If you're choosing to hang out with other people and not me, it's obvious that you don't care as much about me as I care about you. And oftentimes teens are in their first or maybe second relationship. And so having the attention all on them from this new relationship or old relationship, but having all of the attention on them feels good. And so even if it crosses some boundaries or shows some red flags, it can be really easy to overlook those because it feels good to feel loved by someone.
Well, on that note, Andrea, when it comes to teens and teen dating violence, anything we haven't touched on with that topic you want to put out there for us today?
Yep. As we were just talking, I think it's really important to know that those exhibited personality traits from abusive people are rooted in power and control.
Mhm.
If you can take a look at your relationship, even as a younger person, and know that it doesn't necessarily feel like love, it feels like they're controlling me. If we can really start to hone in on that feeling early, it's not necessarily going to stop someone from being sucked into the relationship because we know that abusers are really good at what they do. But it at least can start to create a level of awareness for people who are in these relationships, or to see it in their next one. But a really important thing I would like to hit on too is that healthy relationships do exist and can exist. They need to really be rooted in positive communication or healthy communication. That doesn't mean that you get along all the time. at all. People are going to disagree, but if we can communicate about things or talk to each other freely, it's really important, even in adolescence, or especially in adolescence, to start relationships off with good communication,
Sure.
as well as genuine mutual respect.
Mm-hmm.
If we are all rooted in the idea that we want what's best for the other person and not what's best for us, these relationships can really start to be trending in a more healthy way. Going along with that is also trust. In a world where trust is really, really hard to experience, I really do believe a lot, because of technology and social media and what the world perceives in a person's life, what's really happening. That's also happening in adolescence. But if a relationship can be rooted in trust, it's just more likely to be a lot more healthy. People should just be able to feel safe in the relationship that they're in.
Are there resources specifically geared towards teens on this topic, Andrea?
Absolutely. There are many websites that exist. My favorite one is loveisrespect.com or .org. I think it's org. Loveisrespect.org. They have a 24-hour texting hotline geared specifically to young people. 25 and younger, I believe, is their target range. At Willow Tree, we, of course, are also happy to help if it's something that we're not familiar with or it's not a topic that we see regularly. We will find the resources for whoever needs, or whatever thing is going on that they need resources for.
Very good. Very good. I know you've got an intern this semester you want to introduce to us. How about that?
I do. So this is my second intern here at Willow Tree. This, if you want to swing on in, this is Serenity.
Hey, Serenity, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. Hey, quickly, before I have to let you and Andrea go, tell me about yourself. Where are you from, and what got you into working with Andrea here? How about that?
I am from the Chicago area. I'm a student at the University of Illinois, currently studying social work. I graduate with my bachelor's in social work in May, and then to go into my master's for social work starting in fall of 2026. Just really passionate about domestic violence, crisis intervention, and just really want to learn from the best that there is.
Oh yeah.
No, you're 100% right. She deflects, but you're right. You're absolutely right, Serenity. Well, best of luck with that. That's the path my wife took, and it's served her well, and very fulfilling opportunity. So best of luck with that. Thanks for introducing yourself, and enjoy your time with Andrea. You're right. She is one of the best and great person to learn under. Andrea, how to get one more time do folks learn about all things Willow Tree Missions?
Yep, they can find us online at willowtreemissions.org or call or text 217-762-2350.
Very good. Again, that's Andrea Kocher, Director of Services at Willow Tree Missions in Piatt County. Our guest on the Zoom. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Network news on the way.